Today is April 3rd. I've got the first planking strake on this 2x4 on this side. And I got the first two boards on over here on the port side. You can see here. And it's going all right, I guess. But I've got some decisions to make now. When George was talking about in the book about planking, well, actually not in the book, in one of his articles on the internet that he had written, he talked about if you're gonna put plywood over top of the planking, you don't really need to worry too much, of course, how the planking goes on, just as long as it covers the side of the boat. And he said if you're going to do that, he said you could just well start down here at the at the chine, plank up to the top, and then it really doesn't matter how the planking lays on the frames. Just lop it off on top at the shear. Well, and that's kind of what I had in my mind I was going to do, just let it, you know, fall where it may, as he said, and then cut it off to the shear. Well, you can't do that here though, because we got a raise shear. If you look up these frames, it's a flat edge, and it comes to right there somewhere, maybe a little above, wherever that is. And then it goes straight up, because it comes up at an angle like this, and then it goes straight up for the last, you know, 18 inches or whatever there. So there's going to need to be a dividing line there in the planking so that you can, you know, cut a little bit of angle into those, and then the next one has to sit on top of it and meet it and then go up. And that top part's going to be pretty easy. The raised shear is going to be pretty easy. The very top piece up there is going to be quite easy, because that's a consistent height, at least from where there's a little transition here. Where it goes up higher in the stern there, but otherwise, and even back there, then though, that's the same height. That raised shear is the same height. It's a little taller back there, but it's the same height across the back, and it's all the same up here. So, but what that means is I've got a space to fill in with planking here between where the raised shear starts and the chine. In this boat, the way it's designed is way bigger up here at the bow and just gradually narrows the whole way back. And of course there's some some curvature to that too. You can see maybe how small that area is between the chine and the raised shear back here. That's not much space. That's a little bit less than half of what it is up at the bow. So what I did to get an idea of that is I went through, I went through and measured from the chine to the shear along each station, and I've got those recorded down here. Then I also traced, to get a better visualization of this slot here, I traced it onto a piece of paper. And you can see 67 inches wide up here, only 29.5 inches wide down here. So the whole thing just tapers down. Now the question is, how do you fill this in? If you start with planking, oh man, I got a frog in my throat this morning. If you start with planking that's all the same width, you'll quickly run out of real estate up here, and you'll wind up ending on slivers on this where the raised shear starts. Now this does not include the raised shear, which is another piece up on top of that. But so this is just the area between the chine and the shear that needs planking to get started here. And I got the bottom board 2x4 in, and I'm thinking what I'm going to have to do is put this the shear plank in next up above, So that means I'm also going to have to make sure and get this angle planed out all the way up to the shear there before I get too far along here. I can probably start putting a few planks in on the sides here, but I can't get too carried away. But I also need to decide how I'm going to do this. And I don't really see a good way of doing this without leaving myself, weird, thin slivers of boards up here, without tapering these, each piece along the whole length. If you just taper one here, then you're going to have kind of a notch in here, and the boards aren't going to fit in there properly. If you put just chunks in, and then, you can obviously diminish those chunks, you're still going to have those weird, maybe perhaps slivers in places. And I'm pretty sure you don't want that. So, but trying to cut tapers into all these boards, and of course down here you can't have too thick of boards because you'd never be able to bend them on there anyway. But man, I don't know how I'd cut 50-foot long tapers in 3 or 4 pieces of wood. Yeah, so I haven't quite figured it out yet. It wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't so much. George was showing and George talked about cutting taper pieces of wood too, but I don't see how that's going to work in this app. Oh, it would work, but I don't see how you're going to do it with this length. I suppose you could, but maybe I'll have to. Don't know. I haven't come up with any other great ideas yet. So, I don't know. We'll have to see. But, like I said, I think I need to put the the top piece in first. So I need to start thinking about getting all this stuff planed down to the right angle, because right now it's only about halfway up. So I got a lot more planing to do, especially, and you can see it on these here. You can see where it's been planed down here, but then up there it's not planed at all. So yeah, that's because I didn't cut those bevels in when I did the frames, and I probably would have had I lofted the boat in profile or whatever to get those angles. But yeah, it didn't work out that way to do that. The way I put them together too would have made it difficult to do that. But so planing them out with a power plane isn't that hard. It's just a little tedious. But yeah, I'm just really debating how to go about this. Maybe I need to read a couple other books and see how they talk about doing it in some of the other books I've got. Anyway, I'm sure I'll probably get it figured out, but at the moment it's got me a little befuddled.